Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, Sister Patricia Fox can stay in the Philippines, but Malacanang says she's not yet off the hook. Also, the chances of alleged pork barrel mastermind Janet Lim Napoles becoming a state witness.
It's the ombudsman who will determine who will be a state witness.
A proposal to arm prosecutors.
No, gusto nilang matutong pumutok. Meron naman.
And a probe on the Solicitor General security firm.
The first thing that I did was to resign from the Vigilant because I was slated to be appointed as Solicitor General.
Ang concern ng DOJ principally is whether yung mga procurement laws, rules, and regulations have been followed. Kasi public bidding yan eh.
Exclusive on CNN Philippines, Justice Secretary Menardo Guevarra joins us live. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pinky Webb. The Justice Department allows Australian nun, Sister Patricia Fox, to stay for now. In a resolution released on Monday, the department has nullified the Bureau of Immigration's decision to forfeit her missionary visa. Also, we look at the possibility of alleged pork barrel scam mastermind Janet Lim Napoles turning state witness and the allegations of conflict of interest involving Solicitor General Jose Calida and his family. Let's go straight to the source of the story. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevarra. Secretary, finally, maraming salamat. It's your first interview. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Pinky, and good morning to your televiewers. It's my pleasure to be here.
So the last time I think that I somehow saw you was during the Commission on Appointments hearing, sir.
I think so.
Yeah, that was probably one of those. Hindi ka masyado nagpapa-interview before, sir, no?
Yeah.
Because?
The reason for that is I'm feeling my way through. I want to be discussing meaningful things with people who interview me rather than about my plans regarding the department. So gusto ko yung meron ng something substantial to discuss.
And very apt, sir, because very recently your department, the Department of Justice, nullified. That is the correct word to use kung tama, sir, ha? Nullified, dahil yun po yung nasa resolution
That is
ninyo.
right, nullified.
Okay, nullified the order of the Bureau of Immigration to forfeit the missionary visa of Sister Patricia Fox, saying this has no legal basis. Sir, can you please explain this to us?
All right, yeah, that's a very good question because that is what many people ask about. Ano ba ang difference noong forfeiture and cancellation? All right, yung cancellation of visa kasi is provided for under the immigration law itself, no? Under Section 23. And there are precise grounds under which the Bureau of Immigration may cancel a foreigner's visa. And there is a specific procedure. The grounds are, among others, fraud and misrepresentation. Forfeiture has no legal framework in the law. Hindi mo siya makikita doon, nor in the implementing rules and regulations. So probably it's a practice that has been done by the BI. Maybe in some instances they're actually doing cancellation, but calling it forfeiture. But by and large, forfeiture is something na parang non-existent as far as the law is concerned. Parang it's something like kind of shortcut, no? Right.
Are you saying that the Bureau of Immigration may have done a shortcut on the case of Sister Patricia Fox, sir?
To the extent that neither fraud nor misrepresentation was tackled in the resolution of the BI, the answer is yes.
And would that obviously be a violation of her due process?
To a certain extent, yes, because if we actually applied Section 23 on cancellation, she would have been given a lot of opportunity.
I think that is the
defend
defense, sir.
herself.
Yun yung defense ng, of course, this was with the Bureau of Immigration, that they were not given due process. So you're saying, sir, just to clear it, the Bureau of Immigration can cancel,
Definitely.
but they cannot forfeit.
Yes. We have there is a distinction between forfeiting and canceling.
Can you tell me sir, ano ho bang kakaibahan ng forfeit at cancel?
Actually, parang kung iisipin mo, pareho lang siya. No? Oo, right. But kasi the BI itself said that what they applied was visa forfeiture rather than visa cancellation. So kasi nga, meron niyang exact procedure for visa cancellation and there are specific grounds. Whereas yung forfeiture, parang ginamit nilang basihan doon is a violation of a condition in the visa or something like that. But yun nga, wala yun eh. Wala yun sa batas. Actually, yung violation of a condition of the visa is one of the grounds for deportation. Pag deportation, ibang proceeding na yan.
Ibig sabihin, sir, allegedly, Sister Patricia Fox joining political activities is a ground for deportation. Tama ho ba? But not cancellation? Definitely wala yung forfeiture kasi you're saying, sir, parang you don't find the word forfeiture in the law. So it seems like it doesn't exist to simplify
yes,
this discussion.
That's right.
So kapag nagkaroon po ng violations such as joining political activities, for example, that would be a ground for deportation, sir, and not cancellation?
Assuming that, in fact, certain acts are clearly political in character, on that assumption, then that is a ground for both cancellation and deportation.
And that is basically what you're saying. Parang binalik niyo ho sa Bureau of Immigration yung kaso ni Sister
That's
Patricia
exactly
Fox.
what I did in that resolution. We nullified, binaliwala namin, pinawalang visa namin yung unang resolution ng Bureau of Immigration. But it does not end there. All right? So we are remanding, or we have remanded the case to the Bureau of Immigration so that it may continue within the proper legal framework.
Is it correct, sir, to categorically say nagkamali ang Bureau of Immigration?
Yung pagkakamali is jurisdictional, okay? In law, that's what we call a jurisdictional error, okay? So, under the rules of court, when we say it committed a jurisdictional error, it could mean that it exceeded its authority.
So,
Ganon lang naman ang ibig sabihin.
As-
I'm not saying that BI acted abusively or in bad faith. It's just, something like in excess of its jurisdiction or in excess of its authority.
Oh, so it's not abuse of power?
No, that is definitely a different thing because the BI was acting in good faith when it did so upon the honest belief na pwedeng gawin yun.
Okay. So that's clear. Hindi naman sila ng abuso ng kapangyarihan. Parang they exceeded their jurisdiction.
That's right.
So we leave it at that and it goes back to the Bureau
Right,
of Immigration. But
exactly.
sir, it was very controversial, I guess, in a way because, you had the President Rodrigo Duterte, wanting this Sister Patricia Fox out of the country. And here's this new Department of Secretary Justice nullifying the decision of the Bureau of Immigration. Did you have to tell your boss, former boss, Executive Secretary Medialdea, that you were going to do this?
No, there was no need for that. The instruction for me is to follow the rule of law. And that's exactly what I did.
Even if the President wanted the sister out of the country, sir?
This whole process is not yet complete. That's why we remanded it to the BI so that the proper proceedings may be had. So as to the final outcome, we do not know that as yet.
As
But I
of
do
now,
not want to preempt the BI.
understandable. So as of now, she stays. Let's talk about Janet Lim Napoles. So you also ended the provisional authority granted by former Department of Justice Secretary Aguirre on Janet Lim Napoles. Sir, why? Bakit niyo po tinigil na to?
There's no factual basis for maintaining that protection anymore. She asked for protection under the WPP for the reason that her personal security was in danger and that she wanted to be transferred to a safe house. So that basically were her reasons for asking protection, because she wanted to divulge more information, but she wanted to be safe, and so she wanted to be transferred to a safe house, and so forth and so on. But remember that she's already facing cases before the Sandigan Bayan, and the court had already acquired jurisdiction over the case and over her person. So we cannot do that. We cannot move her to a safe house even if she wanted to, because the court already had control over the case and over her person. So precisely na-deny yun ng Sandigan Bayan. So what's the point of protecting her and continuing yung kanyang maintaining yung kanyang request, no?
Nagkamali ho ba si Secretary Aguirre in doing this, sir? Because this is the time of Secretary Aguirre.
Not really, because the intention apparently was for Ms. Napoles to give more information. But that is something that she could do with or without protection.
Okay, so it's clear, sir, that this was supposed to be in future possible cases.
That's right.
Okay. Are you still open to hearing her testimony on possible involvement? The lawyer of Janet Lim Napoles is saying, Attorney Stephen David, that they have about 100 more lawmakers that could be implicated in two, sir. The pork barrel and the DAP. Are you open to hearing her testimony?
This investigation is actually ongoing. We have instructed the National Bureau of Investigation to continue its investigation on the DAP and the PDAF and to proceed with its case build-up. So if part of that evidence gathering would involve getting information voluntarily from Ms. Napoles, then so be it.
Secretary Aguirre apparently went to jail to get her, to speak to her, and possibly also find out more regarding her testimony. Would you go as far as doing that, Secretary?
I will leave it to the National Bureau of Investigation to find out if that would be necessary.
If it's necessary for what? For you?
For them to go out of their way and talk to Napoles.
Is it worth it, you think, sir? Would it be worth it for the NBI
We do not want to
that?
leave any stone unturned. So for whatever it is worth, we'll do so.
So you're open to the possibility of additional testimony from
Of
Janet
course.
Lim Napoles?
Yes, definitely.
Because Solicitor General Jose Calida was saying that the public, or maybe even government, should listen. The reason for that, sir, is because Stephen David, the lawyer, was saying parang ayaw na daw sila pakinggan ng Department of Justice. So categorically, gusto niyo pa ho ba siyang pakinggan o hindi, si Janet Lim Napoles?
They have not even communicated with us. But the thing is, we have already thrown this to the NBI. So the NBI will take the lead in determining whether they should approach Stephen David or Ms. Napoles, or let them come to the NBI and divulge whatever information they may have. The investigation is ongoing. The case build-up is ongoing.
Sir, would you even consider her as a possible state witness?
Well, considering her as a state witness belongs to the jurisdiction of the Ombudsman, because these cases will eventually be filed with the Sandigan Bayan, because this is a violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. And therefore, the prosecutor there is not the Department of Justice, but the Ombudsman, the special prosecutor. So it will be them who will determine whether a certain witness will be used by the state or not.
You are singing the same tune as Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales. We interviewed her very recently, and that's exactly what she said. And I asked the Ombudsman what she thought of the new secretary. You might want to listen to this, sir.
He has no integrity issue. And I believe that he did correctly by lifting or at least recognizing the termination of the provisional placing of Ombudsman of Janet in the Witness Protection Program.
But you may have missed the first word, sir. She said that you have no integrity issue.
Thank you very much, Madam Ombudsman.
We'll be taking a short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Still to come, after a series of killings of state prosecutors, is it about time to arm them? Justice Secretary Menardo Guevarra will still be with us after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, Justice Secretary Menardo Guevarra. Sir, so nagpapatuloy po yung investigation on the pork barrel scam, and that, can you just give us an update? Any update on that, sir?
On the pork barrel scam, you're referring to the PDAF and
Yes, sir.
yeah. As I said earlier, we have referred the matter to the NBI. The NBI is having some difficulty because some original documents could not be found anymore for some reason. I was informed, but that should not really be an obstacle because these documents could be reconstructed and could still be retrieved somehow. So although it might be more difficult this time around compared to the first two batches, that is not really a problem because there's something that could be done about it.
And then very recently, sir, update on the disbursement acceleration program investigation, sir. Anything new? Because the Ombudsman recently indicted former President Aquino, whom you worked for also in the past, sir, and said that he usurped his legislative powers on the DAP. Sir, my question is this. Those who filed a motion for reconsideration on this issue said that it should be graft or malversation of public funds. What are your thoughts, sir?
It's quite unfortunate that we're not really directly involved in the preliminary investigation of these cases, so it might be difficult on my part to say what the correct charge should have been. But we rely on the good sense of the Office of the Ombudsman, and let's just leave it at that. If the president, former president, and his council believe that there was something wrong about it, then there are remedies available to them under the law to question that.
Solicitor General Jose Calida, sir, I was personally a little bit confused with your statement. When this conflict of interest on Solicitor General Jose Calida came out with Vigilant, his security firm, bagging so many contracts, sir. First, you said that somehow, sir, just to condense it, that there's nothing wrong with it. And then, after the Commission on Appointments hearing, Secretary Menardo Guevarra said, you will look into this. So what is it really, sir?
All right. Right from the beginning, I was of the conclusion that there was nothing irregular about it. But because some people wanted, that this matter be examined further, so I said, there's nothing wrong with looking into it again. So we did. And I talked to the people in charge of procurement in the Department of Justice. Of course, I cannot speak for the other agencies with which Solgen's company dealt. But as far as the DOJ is concerned, we look into our records, all right, and the conclusion is still the same. I examined all the records pertaining to the procurement, and all of these were regular on their face. Because this is a public bidding, and all that we need to comply with are the pertinent regulations under the Government Procurement Reform Act. And all of these were followed from the start of the bidding up to the end. So it happens that siya yung lowest and responsive bid among a number of bidders. So nasa ayos naman siya. Kaya from our point of view, that is our only concern. Okay.
It's above board. It's above board.
It's above board.
Okay.
Now, the matter of conflict of interest, we have to explain that. From the point of view of the Department of Justice, there would be conflict of interest if the bidder, the winning bidder, would have any relation to the head of the agency, to the head of the Bids and Awards Committee, yes, to the head of the BAC Secretariat, to the agency implementing the procurement within the third degree of affinity or consanguinity, and none was found. So as far as the DOJ is concerned, yun ang issue ng conflict of interest. Pero yung conflict of interest on the part of the Solgen, that is something that he has to deal with separately.
So when you look at the law, is how you're explaining. Number one, when you look at the contract, it's above board. When you look at conflict of interest and you look at how he could have been related by third affinity, sir, wala pa rin. You don't see anything wrong. So here's the next question, sir. Is it ethical? Do you think it's ethical?
There is complaint filed already with the ombudsman regarding ethical considerations. So I would rather not comment on that because that's already pending
Okay.
with the Office of the Ombudsman.
Let me give you a hypothetical scenario, sir. And I asked this to the Solgen, and he answered me. If the DOJ, but because they have a contract with the DOJ, sir, if you have a problem with Vigilant, which the Solgen owns, and you would have to somehow take them to court, how is that? You have Vigilant, gusto niyo pong kasuhan ng Vigilant, and yet, doon sa kabila, the Solgen, saan ho tatayo ang Solgen? Doon sa pamilya niya o doon sa...
All we need to do is to cancel the contract. We don't even have to go to court. If we have any problem with the performance of the company's obligations under the contract, all we need to do is really to cancel the contract. We need not go to court. If there's anyone who wanted to question that cancellation, it will not be us, because that's all that we need to do. Just cancel it, terminate it.
And no case for possibly violation of the contract, you will file any case on that?
No, sufficient. It's sufficient that we terminate it and open the matter to another public bidding.
I see. But why not file a case if there's a violation, sir? Isn't that the normal recourse?
No, because if there are easier things or easier remedies to avail yourself of, why not?
Huh? So are you telling people now that if they have a contract and they violate that contract, it's okay because they're just going to cancel the contract anyway, you will not be taken to court? Is that the position of the DOJ, sir?
It really depends on what the reasons are, but normally if it's just non-performance or a breach of any provision of the contract, that's the simplest thing to do, really.
All right.
Just to terminate it and cancel it. You don't really have to waste your time going to court, for something like that.
We'll be taking another short break. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, Justice Secretary Menardo Guevarra. Before I leave the topic on this whole do you think he should divest?
It's better for him if he divested.
All right. Okay. Let's move to former President Aquino. Just a brief background on the Secretary. You also worked under the administration of President Aquino under Executive Secretary Paquito Ochoa. Is that correct?
Yes, I was Deputy Executive Secretary for Legal Affairs.
For Legal Affairs. And then eventually you worked for Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea.
That's right.
Who's the better boss, sir?
Both of them are very good bosses. Both of them, they have very distinct talents, each one of them.
All right. The former president, sir, can we get an update on three things, sir? The Deng Vaksha probe. Just any update on this, sir?
The Deng Vaksha cases are of two types. One, the first set of cases involving Deng Vaksha were for violation of the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, violation of the procurement law, and also technical malversation. All right, so the respondents there are the former president, the former DBM secretary, former secretary of health, and others. So we're still at the stage of exchange of pleadings there, counter affidavits, reply affidavits, rejoinder affidavits. That's where we are there. Right, the other set of cases pertains to reckless imprudence resulting to multiple homicide. Alright, so ito naman ang nag-file nito ay yung mga kamag-anak ng mga batang namatay and allegedly due to the Deng Vaksha vaccination. No? So, ang respondents dito mostly ay former officials of the Department of Health. So dito we are still in the stage where the parties are exchanging pleadings, counter affidavits, reply affidavits, etc., etc. They're both being investigated by the Department of Justice.
Got it, sir. Mama Sapano, sir.
Mama Sapano. All right, the Mama Sapano case involving SAF 44.
Yes, sir.
Right. The informations, the criminal informations had already been filed in those cases way back in 2016 after a proper investigation. And these complaints or criminal informations were filed with the Regional Trial Court in Sharif Agwak, but actually in Cotabato City. So because of the possible security issues, we requested or we asked the Supreme Court that the venue for the trial of those cases be transferred to Metro Manila. And the Supreme Court recently granted that petition. So these cases will be tried before the Regional Trial Court in Taguig. City.
Maguindanao massacre, sir.
Maguindanao massacre. All right, this involved journalists, right? Okay. This is a long running case, but I'm glad to inform the people that we are now winding up with the trial of this case. There are just 5 remaining accused who are presenting evidence. So we believe that we can wind up the trial of this case this year. And we're hoping that by 2019, a decision will be rendered by the court.
Finally, huh, sir?
Finally.
And very quickly, sir, arming the prosecutors, is this something you agree with?
Oh, definitely. Even requested the PNP to help us facilitate for the issuance of gun licenses and permits to carry, just to give our prosecutors a fighting chance.
All right, just very quickly, the Secretary placed number 2 during the 1985 bar exam. I need to get your thoughts on this, sir. The quo warranto petition, was that a correct judgment by the Supreme Court, or is impeachment really just the way to oust a Chief Justice?
The Supreme Court has made a final decision on the matter, and I would like to respect that decision. I do not want to further inflame any controversy because the Supreme Court has already decided the matter. But if I may suggest, in order to avoid a similar situation in the future, now that the Constitution is proposed to be amended, we'd rather make it very clear in the Constitution that the only way to remove impeachable officers will be by impeachment. Otherwise, the Supreme Court may change the rules of court pertaining to quo warranto and make it very clear likewise that even impeachable officers may be subjected to quo warranto. Either way, the need is to clarify.
Yeah, what is in the law, sir. So you respect the Supreme Court decision, but you don't agree with it, correct, sir?
Actually, if you are asking me about my personal opinion as a law professor, I think the decision was correct.
The decision was correct?
Yes, insofar as making a distinction between quo warranto and impeachment as a mode of removing a justice of the Supreme Court.
All right. Again, of course, you teach at Ateneo. He used to teach at the Ateneo,
That's right.
right? All right. Secretary Menardo Guevarra, sir, a pleasure to finally interview you. Maraming salamat. I know you have so much on the table still, so we wish you luck, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.